and nothing is off limits except one thing, and that's the military and the defense of our country. We are not going to cut the American military. The President has already proposed and has accomplished $500 billion in cuts. He's put forth another $500 billion. $1 trillion out of a part of the budget that's 20% of the budget. And almost nothing. No real ideas to take on the other 80%. All of it's going to be hammering on the military. The military that day by day, like today, with what happened in Somalia with our special forces, makes us proud to stand up and be Americans because of the great men and women who's out there sacrificing and fighting for us. We are proud of them. Under Rick Santorum presidency, we will strengthen that military. We will give them the training and the capability they have to meet the threats that we have, and we will keep our promises to our soldiers and our veterans. When we make a promise and you serve this country, America stands behind them and their promises. One final comment, and this is an important one too, which is national security, and then I'll open it up for some questions. The President of the United States spends precious little time talking about national security. He never really does talk much about national security. National security is only used by this president to try to accomplish some sort of domestic policy objective. I'm very happy that Osama bin Laden is dead. But Osama bin Laden wasn't the only threat to America. And the virulent threat that has erupted around the world under this president, with the Muslim Brotherhood now ascending in both Libya and in Egypt, not ascending, ascended in Egypt. What we see with the president's twiddling of his thumbs as Iran develops a nuclear weapon. Oh, he'll give the tough talk. Oh, Iran's not going to get a nuclear weapon. He's doing precious little. He's out there trying to negotiate with the Taliban, negotiating with the people who helped orchestrate and plan the attacks on our country and are still radical jihadists. The President doesn't understand that these are folks whose worldview are foundationally different than we are, and that they are committed because of their faith and their view, their radical view of the Islamic faith. They are committed to destroying the United States, the West, Israel, and everything in between. That's their conviction. That's what they believe they are called to do. The President does, as the previous President does, in my opinion, has done a great disservice in not being straight with the American public about the nature and the extent of the threat. Radical expansionist Islam has been a threat to Western civilization in one time or another for 1,300 years. We say, both the last president and this president, in varying degrees, that we're not at war with radical Islam. The previous president called it a war on terror. This president won't even call it that. This president has sanitized every document, every national security document, now cannot mention the word jihad, Islam, Muslim, anything to do with what they say is motivating them to attack us. We can be, as this president is, this president can be ignorant of that. They can go out and he can go out and try to misinform the public about the nature of the threat, who they are and why they act. But in doing so, he undermines the ability to get the support of the American public. Because you'll never ultimately get the support of the American public unless you tell us the truth. And he's not telling the truth. You may not like what I say. You may not like how I say it. But you will know this: I will always tell the American public what I believe is the truth as best I can discern it, because good leaders, the best leaders, don't lead by trying to hide the ball from you. Don't lead by trying to rally you and motivate you on emotion. Don't lead by fear. They lead by informing, rallying people who do what they believe is in the best interest of their country, and seeing a leader who reflects those values and joins together with energy and enthusiasm and commitment to do the things that are necessary to confront the problems that America's facing. That's what leadership is about. It's about forming consensus, bringing America together. One of my favorite books I just read a couple years ago was a book called Washington's Crossing. I would encourage, it's about Washington crossing the Delaware and basically saving the Revolution. It was about to fail. And you read that book and you see how Washington governed. And then you read how the British governed their military. The British governed from elites, nobility, generals who would not deign to even talk to their underlings, who were of a lower rank and a lower status. And they, from the top, decided how best to run the war. George Washington, this great man, very accomplished man, was not commander-in-chief of the Continental Army. He was the cajoler-in-chief. He would try to just hold people together, take all the information he could from the bottom of the ranks up, listen to his people, the people that were under his command, because he knew he didn't command them in the sense of the British commanders. But they were in a common enterprise together. And that the greatness of our army and the greatness of our country is that we listen to the hearts and minds of the people and bring them together in a way that they feel participating in solving and tackling the problems that we confront as a nation. That's how Washington led. That's how that raid of crossing the Delaware on Christmas Eve and surprising the Hessians in Trenton to turn the whole course of the war occurred, because Washington understood the greatness of the people of this country. You've heard that Barack Obama wants to turn us back to European socialism. The elite, the nobility, who wouldn't deign themselves from talking to the ordinary people and try to find out what works and doesn't work in America. They know best, and they are leading us to the same kind of destruction that the British, in their arrogance, led to losing the Revolutionary War. That's why I referred to President Obama the other day as the new King George III. We have an opportunity in this race. Florida, you have an opportunity in this race to put up the right candidate, the candidate with the strongest ideas. You all watched the debate the other night. In the first 20 minutes of the debate, I felt like selling popcorn. Could have maybe got a few bucks for my seat on the stage from a contributor or something, right? But what you saw is what's hopefully becoming evident, which is the weakness in the candidates that are in this race when it comes to matching up against Barack Obama. We need someone who isn't going to be the Republican nominee, who isn't going to be the issue